Okay, so today we are going to talk about one of the most debatable subjects in the history of superhero movies. We are going to analyze the impact that Henry Cavill's Superman had on superhero fans across the world. Since his time as Superman has ended, I think it is the perfect time to discuss this topic. He started his journey as Superman in one of the most polarizing movies in the superhero genre, Man of Steel. Some people feel even to this day that it is one of the greatest superhero movies to be ever made, while others feel that this movie disrespected the character of Superman and destroyed the values that he represented in the comics. Now I would like to say that neither of the two statements are totally correct. Zack Snyder and Henry Cavill wanted to give us a very unique version of Superman which the current generation of fans could relate to. I agree to some degree with the critics when I say that Henry Cavill was not a comic-accurate Superman. He was very different from the source material. But I still believe that he did stick to the core values that represents the character of Superman. People nowadays feel that if a character is not accurate to the source material, then it is a bad representation of the character or the actor has failed to bring the character to life. But this is totally not true. I say this because if you look at the recent comic book movies which have gained critical as well as commercial success are actually not very true representations of the source material. The best example in this case is The Dark Knight, which is regarded as the greatest comic book movie to be ever made. And the main characters in this movie, Batman and the Joker, were very different to the same characters from DC Comics. Christopher Nolan wanted to bring his own take into the Dark Knight movies by making the characters grounded and visualizing them in the real world. Even Heath Ledger's Joker, who won the Oscar for Best Actor, was nothing like the Joker from the comics. But the general audience across the world did not care about the comic book accuracy of the characters shown in the movie. Almost everyone in the world loved those three movies so much that the Dark Knight trilogy is still regarded as the gold standard of comic book movies even after a decade. The Dark Knight trilogy is so popular that when someone speaks of Batman, the first image that comes to our mind is Christian Bale's Batman. The same can be said for Heath Ledger's Joker. We can take some more examples like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man for instance. I think he was very different from the comics version of Spider-Man in a lot of ways. In the comics, Spider-Man mostly uses a web shooter, but Sam Raimi's version produced webs organically from his wrists. His version of Peter Parker also did not look like the typical high school teenager like he did in the comics. Another example is Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. He is actually the most different out of the three examples that I have mentioned from the source material. His version of Wolverine never even put on the classic yellow-blue costume. The comic version of Wolverine is known to be a person of short to medium height, but Hugh Jackman has a very large and well-built body structure and has a reasonable height. Before I go further, I just want to address one thing. A lot of you guys have shown good response to my last few videos and I am really happy with that. But according to the YouTube statistics, only 15 to 20% of you guys have subscribed to my channel. I just want to remind you that these videos require a lot of research and hard work to be made. So if you want to motivate me to keep making such kind of contents in future, I just need a small favor from you. Please like my video and subscribe to my channel. Okay, now let us get back to the topic. In retrospect, if we look at the three live-action version of the characters that I talked about, they are all considered the greatest representations of their respective characters, and they are the ones who made those characters stand out and become legendary in the world of pop culture much more than the comics ever managed to do. In this era, I feel the live-action movies must inspire the comics rather than the comics inspiring the movies. In today's day and age, the live-action movies are a much more popular medium to represent the pop culture characters than the comics and other kind of medium. So it should be no different in the case of Henry Cavill, because Zack Snyder never intended to make him a comic-accurate Superman. He was always meant to be a Superman that the new generation of fans could relate to. He is not as light-hearted and colorful as the version from the comics, but that is okay. Henry Cavill left a very strong and lasting impression on the minds of people. A lot of people say that they did not like the character of Superman before Henry Cavill took up the role. Man of Steel and BVS perfectly represented the response of people to an alien having god-like superpowers in today's political scenario of the world. In other words, Henry Cavill actually is the closest representation of Superman's existence in the real world. So Zack Snyder brought about a version of Superman which perfectly fits into our contemporary world. So that is all I have to say in this video. Do you agree with me or do you think in any other way? Please let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.